Hello, all the Web3 enthusiasts, and welcome to the Synopsis Talks. It's Max speaking. Today we continue our series of interviews with notable representatives of our sphere and continuing the topic of innovations in our field. Today I decided to invite a special guest, which is not very much common to all the previous guests, but I believe that our today's discussion will be useful both for founders, builders, and also for the general audience. So please welcome the CBDO of Auxorio, providers of the smart contract audits and security services. Hi, Victor. How are you today?
Yeah, hi Max. Thanks for invitation for this interview. All good, and how's it going?
I'm fine, thank you. So I prepared several questions for you, but I think we will not go too tough to them. So I think we'll have a pleasant discussion and let's get straight to the action. So first of all, to make an introduction and involve our audience in what you guys are doing in Auxorio, please briefly tell us about your services, about your ideas, contribution to the market.
Okay, yeah, so basically in Auxorio, we provide smart contract audits and as well security services for Web3 projects. The company has been founded in 2021 by two co-founders. So Peter Korlev, he is co-founder of Matter Labs, which known for their product ZK Sync, and also Alex Savdonian. He is a serial startups entrepreneur, and we work since 2021. We have audited such projects as Lido, 1inch, and mainly focused on security. First of all, we have 9 engineers in our team and can audit everything on Solidity and most of the most popular languages as well. Plus, we can audit ZK models, which is pretty relevant coming days. We have a lot of demand for ZK services, so basically we can help with everything during the development and audit as well. So yeah.
Okay, thanks for a brief introduction. So most of the questions today will be like from the general view because I'm not too much into the topic of audits, but I'm interested and I would like to get to know more. So without the complicated words, could you please tell us who and when needs audits, which companies, which projects?
Mm-hmm. I think it's a nice question. And in terms of who need an audit, actually, I think each project should be audited, but who really need this is mainly DeFi projects that have huge TVL, because of the larger TVL, the higher, let's say, chance that you will be hacked, because of projects with higher TVL are main targets for hackers. So if your project have a lot of funds stored in your smart contracts, in this case, it definitely makes sense to have an audit, and it's even better to have several audit rounds. But yeah, and also we facing projects that require an audit to be listed on exchanges or to launch a token sale. But I would say it's not our, let's say, specialization, because we stay focused on security, and there are some other providers in the market that provide audits, but for such purposes as exchange listings and token sales, because of they provide some kind of static analyzing of the code instead of manual review that we do in our company. So yeah, there are some different tiers of audits. Maybe it's a bit on front discussion, but anyway.
Okay, got it. So diving deeper into the process of audits, please tell us more about how it is all going, how much time it takes to conduct an audit.
Okay. Um, Let me describe how, let's say, the whole discussion with the client goes. And first of all, we receive the request that we need an audit. After that, we figuring out what's the main purpose of the audit, just to be sure that we are the right fit for the project. And then we will ask the project to provide a scope. Usually it's a link for a GitHub repo with the commit and list of files that should be audited. After that, we coming back with the estimation within 2 days, when we describe how long would it take, the pricing, and the team structure, like how many auditors will be um, on the audit. And then we start the audit process itself. So basically, we provide the overall overview of the code base, just to highlight some moments where problems could be. And then we start the audit process individually. Usually we have 2 or 3 auditors per project, and each of them will audit the code separately. Then we have a round of disclosure of those preliminary results, when each auditor share their progress, like which findings has been found, and my colleagues discussing together about others problems really have a place, or there are false positive, like when someone might assume that this problem, this let's say issue, could link for loss of funds, but actually it's not. Just to be sure, we will provide the relevant findings for the client. Then we will finalize the whole audit by gathering all those findings from different auditors in the final report, and then we share it to the client. Then client should provide some fixes to, or clients could provide statuses that we acknowledged about this issue, but actually it's not the issue, but a feature and other things. Then we finalize the audit report and could public it, or just keep private. It's up to the client as well. So I think that's pretty everything about the process. So pretty straightforward.
Not an issue, but a feature. I
Yeah.
like it. Okay, and what is needed for the audit to be conducted?
Well, actually, you should provide just a code base, and we can provide an audit for you. But usually it's important for the project to get an audit report as soon as possible, and reduce any fees if it's possible too. So we would recommend to prepare your code base actually before an audit. We have a checklist, and if it's possible, I can share it like somewhere here. I'm not sure if I should share the link here in our meeting, but maybe later, let me know.
Yeah, probably we can post it somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, it's just prepare your code base and be sure there are no any warnings by compiler, and your test suite is prepared. There are integration tests, simulation tests. So anything that should be done from your side before an audit, it will be a great plus, because of if we will get the raw code, we can provide an audit for it, but highly likely you will get an audit with a lot of findings, and we will recommend to have another audit round, because of many findings will require a lot of different changes in the code, and it could lead for new vulnerabilities after fixes. So just to be sure that your code base is relevant and there are no any typos or any other things minor, I mean. So yeah, it's a basic recommendation.
Okay, and besides the code base, should anything else be prepared before the audit by the project?
Yeah, as well as documentation, it would be also great if we have a documentation where the project describes like what exactly they do, and we will have this explanation before the audit, because it will also take time for us to understand what exactly the project do. And in some cases, it can even reduce the time of the audit by several days or even a week, if we have a well-prepared project before an audit. For example, if someone came to us and we see there are no tests, no documentation, it could add another week for us to prepare tests, prepare the explanation for the team. So it also makes sense to do it in advance. just to save your budget and time.
Well, perfect. So a good preparation saves a lot. And okay, could you tell more about the project who work with you? So who are
Mhm,
partners? Maybe some
mhm,
cases, some interesting, funny stuff, anything you want.
mhm. Well, yeah, we face a lot of different projects each day. It might be some small projects or even scam projects. They also came to us and asked for an audit. Also, some large, well-prepared projects by enterprise companies. So we have a lot of different requests, but mainly DeFi projects, I would say. A lot of RWA projects recently. And also right now, because there are not so many auditors that can do ZK audits, we also face higher demand for ZK audits from our side.
Well, so you mentioned the scam projects. Do you make audits for them?
Well, we... Так, сейчас наверное, будет вырезать. Well, for scam projects, we do know your customer process, and we'll ask for the details about the project, about the company. And if we have any red flags from them, likely we will not do an audit for them just because of it will affect our reputation if we are not really willing to do so. And we don't have any problems with our schedule. Right now, we are fully booked 2 months ahead. So we will not proceed with the audit for obvious scams. But even if there are any possibility that the project might scam people by their code, in this case, we will just find out it during the audit. So I think it doesn't make sense to do audit for scam projects in this sense.
Okay, so guys, if you're gonna scam people, do not go to Auxorio or any audits. And what else I wanted to ask? If there is, for example, some suspicious project or something,
Mhm,
and they just put your logo on their website and say, "Hey, we were audited by Auxorio or some other
mhm,
audit company. How
mhm,
can I check it? Can I be sure that it was done?"
mhm. Yeah, we had such cases before, and we just mentioned that the project that we never heard about before have our logo, their website, and they say that we did an audit for them. So the main thing is we have a list of all audits that has been completed by our side at our website and as well at GitHub. So please double check that this project is mentioned there as well. Even if the if the report is private, we will mention the name of the project there. So it's the best way to double check.
Yeah, double check is everything.
Mhm.
Okay, it's interesting. So, about more cases and something like this, what are the main difficulties in your work? So, what you face, what you come up with?
Mhm. Mm, okay, so for difficulties, I would say there are several types maybe. The first one is when we face the raw code. The project is not ready to be deployed, and we have long discussions about what should they do to meet their timeline and what we can do to speed up the audit and other things. It might take a lot of time for us to find out the solution. And just the easiest way here is to reach auditors in advance, because of it does make sense to have a discussion about what's the best way to deploy the most secure project when you develop the project actually, but not when you have the code base already, let's say, developed. And yeah, it's one of the main difficulties right now. But in terms of auditing, so far, according to discussions I had with my colleagues, it's even better if there are some complex projects if we audit some complex projects, because it's much more interesting for our auditors. And the audit, to be auditor, it's actually a burnout profession, and it's even better if we face some complex projects, because if some, like, let's say, common one came to us, it's kind of boring to audit this one, because there are not so many ways to attack this project. Like, there are no some hidden critical vulnerabilities that you have to find after several weeks of trying to hack the project actually. So I wouldn't say such cases are actually difficulties, but maybe even let's say pleasure cases for my colleagues.
Okay, I see. So you are not afraid of difficulties. You are even ready for them and looking forward to face them. So
Yeah, exactly.
wish your colleagues not to face the burnout and continue their great work they're doing. Okay, and for the complex projects and all the stuff. So one of the main questions I think, which is interesting for everyone, is that the project which has been audited by any firm, by Auxorio or any other leading providers of audits, does it mean that the project is secure? Do you provide
Mm-hmm.
guarantees for that for everyone?
Mm-hmm. Mm, it's kind of popular question. So the thing is, the project could be hacked by many different ways. It could be hacked through the code base, through smart contracts. It might be some social engineering, might be some issue with the front end, and there are a lot of ways to actually hack the project. So, and also meanwhile, even if the code bases has been audited by some reputable auditor, there are no any guarantees that the code is secured. It's just uh, how to say. For example, we had an audit with Lido, and they do a great job to secure their protocol. And they hired 9 teams to provide an audit for their version 2 update. And even if they had 9 audits, no one can guarantee that the protocol is actually secured. So you should always keep in mind that there are no ideal code ever. It's just axiom kind of. So
So
yeah,
then
I
audit.
would. Yeah, I also would mention that there are some best practices about how to secure your project, and which what is recommended is to have at least 2 audits by reputable teams with a proven track of their previous audits, plus to have ongoing bug bounty program, because of recently we had a case when we find out the vulnerability in the project that has been hidden there within 3 years after 2 or 3 completed audits before. We have found out this vulnerability during the audit of their fork. So yeah, no guarantees so far.
It's great that it were you who found this issue.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those case with 10 audits is pretty interesting. So while someone is trying to save money and avoid even one audit, someone goes for 10. As far as I know, so audits is a pretty expensive thing to do for the project. Could you tell how much the average audit costs and what does the price depend on?
Mhm. Yeah, so the price depends on, first of all, the code base actually, on their how large it is, like how many lines of the code in the code base, and also complexity of the code. Is there any complex logic or math? So it all depends. And I would say, just for as rough estimation, usually we will ask for, let's say, from 6,000 and up to maybe 18 per week to be audited. and we can audit from 200 and up to 900 lines of the code within a week. That's just a rough estimation based on our previous audits. And also, when we talk about the pricing, like what does it actually mean expensive? For example, if you have let's say 100 million TVL in your project, and just one hidden vulnerability could lead to 1 million loss for your project, and it will harm your reputation. I don't think that any price below this 1 million would be expensive actually. So it's kind of questionable thing. Of course, if you have a project that don't store any funds in your smart contracts, it doesn't make sense to do really high quality audit for you. You can just order an audit from some not mass market, but maybe popular audit teams that can do it really cheaper because of they do static analyze code plus some manual review by checklist within, and with just one auditor. It will cost much cheaper and could take like several days. So depends on your task, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to hear because when you hear the price, for example, of $20,000 or something without a context, it just sounds like a big sum for someone. But
Yeah.
when we speak about the projects with the big TVLs, and of course, it's much better to invest this amount of money instead of losing millions.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so we're coming up to the final question. I'd like to ask you to give our audience, maybe some founders of projects are watching us, and provide some expert hints on how to choose a auditing company for the project.
Mhm. I think the best way is just to choose Auxorio for audit. Yeah,
Perfect.
okay, yeah, besides I'm joking. So basically, I would recommend to check previous audits but that has been made by audit teams, but it requires some tech person in your project, and as well some capacity, because if you have just one CTO in your project and you have a lot of things to do in terms of developing, I'm not sure if the CTO have a lot of time to review manually audits and compare like which company found more vulnerabilities. I think also another way to find out to whom you should like whom you should reaching out is just to check your main competitors, maybe the largest one, and check their audits, like who did an audit for them. Plus, I think it's the easiest way actually. Just check main projects with the highest TVL, check whom did an audit for them, and it would be an answer for the question about how to choose an auditor. You can just simply reach out to auditors and ask more details about their methodology, about how many auditors will be on the audit, like what exactly they will do during the audit. For example, just to kind of let me add this marketing note. For example, we have the prepared methodology, which is available for anyone who wants to take a look, and we have the detailed description about how the audit will be done, like what can we do, how many auditors. Maybe it's just about transparency. Some teams even will not allow you to communicate with auditors. It's kind of weird, but it is. Like when we discussing with the client, we can also schedule a call with them to meet the audit team actually. But I know that some companies don't provide such an opportunity. It's kind of weird. Also might be a red flag for someone. Just have more detailed discussion with the audit teams and figure out what exactly they do and what will they provide to clients.
Perfect. Thank you, Victor. So I think I have deepened my knowledge and understanding of audit. It was a pretty transparent and interesting discussion with you. Thanks for joining in. Do you have anything else to add in the conclusion for our audience?
I want to add that besides of audit, we do a lot of stuff during the development stage. And as I mentioned before, it makes sense to have discussions with auditors before you are ready to, before you need an audit actually. So what we also can do from our side is kind of advertising of our company that I think it would be useful for listeners. We can do a lot of things from general consultations. We can do even pen tests for your infrastructure, and we can help to you to develop the better code base with a higher code quality and more secured. We can guarantee a slot if you come to us in advance. Just just for project owners, just had discussions with auditors before you plan the release, because of most of reputable teams don't really have a capacity to take the project within a month. So it makes sense to have discussions with them before, get the consultation what should be improved in their development process with their code, and you will get the audit slot in advance so you can meet your own timelines. So yeah, I think that's all from my side.
Great. Thank you once again, Victor, and thanks everyone who joined in today. Stay secure, double check, and see you soon in the upcoming versions of Synopsis. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Bye bye. Thank you.